Okay, we've all been there, right? A school project, a new team at work, you're thrown together and expected to make magic happen. Working in a team is something we all have to do, but actually getting it right, well, that's a whole different ballgame. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the science of how great teams are really built. And spoiler alert, it's not always about everyone holding hands and agreeing. I mean, it's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Why do some teams just click? Everything feels easy, ideas are flowing, and then others, man, it feels like you're trying to push a giant rock up a hill. It's not just random luck, and it's not just about getting along. Turns out there's a predictable, almost scientific process happening under the surface. And if you can understand that process, you can unlock a team's true potential. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to start with what you might call the foundational model for how teams come together. Think of it like the standard playbook, the step-by-step guide for any group trying to get something done. And what's wild is it's a path most of us have been on, probably dozens of times without ever really knowing it. So here they are, the 5 stages, laid out by a psychologist named Bruce Tuckman. First up, you've got forming. This is the honeymoon phase, right? Everyone's polite, a little unsure. Then comes storming. And yep, it's exactly what it sounds like. This is where the politeness wears off, disagreements pop up, and there's a bit of chaos. If you can get through that, you land in norming. The team starts to figure things out, find its rhythm, set some ground rules. And from there, you hit the sweet spot, performing. Now you're a well-oiled machine, just getting stuff done. And finally, when the project's over, there's adjourning. Mission complete, time to say goodbye. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because that simple playbook, it's not the whole story, not even close. See, most of us are taught to treat that storming stage like a problem to be solved. Get through it as fast as you can. But what if that's totally wrong? What if that messy, chaotic, uncomfortable phase is actually the secret ingredient that turns a good team into a truly great one? This right here, this quote really nails it. It introduces this pretty radical idea. What if conflict isn't just a bump in the road you have to get over? What if it's an essential ingredient? The friction, the debate, the tough conversations. Maybe that's the fire where the strongest, most innovative teams are actually forged. It's a complete shift in how we think about teamwork. And that brings us to the core puzzle we're trying to solve today. Is that storming stage a bug in the system, something we need to minimize or patch over? Or is it an essential, value-creating feature? Is this something we should actually be leaning into, managing, and maybe even encouraging to get those breakthrough results? Let's dig in and find out. Okay, to really answer that, we can't just guess. We need some tools. So we're going to look at 2 really powerful frameworks that help you do more than just see the storm happening. They help you diagnose it. Is this a productive storm that's making us stronger or a destructive one that's tearing us apart? Seriously, think of this next part as your own personal leadership toolkit. First up, we've got a model from Patrick Lencioni called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. It's an amazing diagnostic tool for figuring out why a team gets stuck in one of those bad, destructive storms. And the core idea is pretty simple. Becoming a high-performing team isn't just about having the most talented people. It's about building a specific set of behaviors, all resting on one single critical foundation. So check out this pyramid. Everything, and I mean everything, starts at the bottom. An absence of trust. If people don't trust each other, they develop a fear of conflict. They won't have those passionate, messy, but necessary debates because they're scared to be vulnerable. And that right there, that's the signature of a storm that's gone wrong. From there, it's a domino effect. You get a lack of commitment, people avoid holding each other accountable, and in the end, you just get bad results. Bottom line, you can't have a productive storm without trust. All right, that's one tool in our toolkit. Let's grab another one. This one comes from Dr. Meredith Belbin, and where Lencioni's model is all about team behaviors, Belbin's model is about team composition. The big idea here is that how a team gets through its storm is basically decided before it even starts. It all comes down to who you have in the room. Just take a look at the balance you need. For example, you need a shaper, someone who challenges the team and pushes for action. They're awesome, but imagine a team with only shapers. Yikes, that storm would be a hurricane. On the flip side, what if your team is packed with team workers? They're super diplomatic and cooperative, but they might avoid conflict at all costs. And if you avoid the storm completely, you miss out on all the great ideas that come from it. So a leader's real job is to be an architect, carefully building a team with the right mix of these roles. Okay, so that's all the theory, the frameworks. But what does this look like in the real world where millions of dollars are on the line? Well, let's take a peek inside two tech giants, Shopify and Salesforce, and see how they use these ideas to build winning teams and get a massive competitive advantage. And the contrast between these two is just fascinating. You've got Shopify, right? Their whole model is decentralized, what they call a team of teams. They basically throw their small teams straight into the deep end, right into the storming stage. They're betting on speed and autonomy, trusting that these teams can figure it out themselves. Then you have Salesforce, which does the exact opposite. They pour a ton of resources into their Ohana, or family culture. They focus heavily on the forming stage to build what's called psychological safety, basically making sure everyone feels safe enough to speak up and take risks. Their strategy is to prepare for the storm so that when it hits, it's a healthy debate, not a family feud. Okay, so we've gone through the stages, the dysfunctions, the real-world examples. What does this all mean for you? How can you actually use this? Let's boil it all down into a simple, actionable blueprint you can use, whether you're leading a team or just part of one. All right, here are the 3 big principles to remember. Number 1, your goal is not to avoid conflict. Your goal is to make it productive. Don't run from the storm, learn how to harness it. Number 2, think like a team architect. Be intentional about who's on your team. Balance the roles, balance the personalities. And number 3, culture is your operating system. A strong culture provides the code, the rules of the road that lets a team navigate its own conflicts successfully. All right, before we wrap up, let's look to the future for a second. Because everything we've just talked about, all these human dynamics, they're about to get a massive shakeup from technology. So here's a little hypothesis for you on how AI is going to completely change the game of building a team. So picture this. In the near future, AI could automate the easy parts. During the forming stage, an AI could scan everyone's profiles and assemble the perfectly balanced team based on those Belbin rules we talked about. Then, during norming, it could use tools to help the team establish rules and get on the same page super fast. But, and this is the crucial part, that doesn't make human leaders irrelevant. No way. It actually makes them more important, because all the focus is going to shift to that one messy human stage, storming. The ability to build trust, to create psychological safety, and to guide a team through tough, values-driven conflict, that becomes the ultimate human superpower in a world of AI. So when you boil it all down, we're left with one powerful idea. Conflict isn't a bug to be fixed, it's the engine of creativity and innovation. The best leaders out there, they don't run from the storm, they learn how to conduct it like an orchestra. So the only question left is, now that you have these tools and this perspective, how are you going to architect your next great team?